kick-off in the East End of Glasgow and Celtic's meeting with St Johnstone. It was a big day for new Celtic coach John Barnes, his first competitive home match since taking over with Kenny Dalglish. Having watched his men dismantle Aberdeen last week, Barnes must have been hopeful of a similar show. And his anticipation was matched by the fans. An incredible crowd of 60,253 turned up to pay homage to the coach and his new-look team. It's the biggest attendance this decade at a British club match. Barnes got a great reception before settling in down to enjoy the match. The commentator, Rob McLean.
No surprise, it's same again for Celtic after the demolition of Aberdeen last Sunday. Mark Viduka has recovered from injury. Still no Stubbs, McNamara, Petrov, Kareen, Mahe or Blinker for various reasons. Craig Burley is again on the bench. Here's the John Barnes formation with Vidar reset and Tom Boyd expected to supply width to the play. A lot of fluidity in midfield with Lubo Moravcik getting his season off to a great start at Pittodrie. And already Viduka and Henrik Larsson in among the goals. There's a competitive home debut for Scottish football's most expensive acquisition. £5.75 million was what Celtic paid West Ham for Eyal Berkovic. He'll have to find a way past Nick Dasovic, and the Canadian midfielder has happy memories of Celtic Park. He was the match winner here last September. There's one change to the St Johnstone personnel, who started the opening day 4-1 defeat at the hands of Hearts. John O'Neill comes in, Roddy Grant and Jerry McMahon have joined O'Boyle, Connolly and Kernigan on the casualty list. Sandy Clark will start with 5 across the middle. O'Neill and Keith O'Halloran, the wide boys. John Paul McBride, ex of Celtic, is handed an important central role. Portuguese striker Miguel Simão is on his own up front. And the referee for Celtic St Johnstone is Mike McCurry. It's St Johnstone who start the match, and it was the Perth team last season who did more than most to deny Celtic the title. 9 points out of 12 was their haul against Celtic. Although they'll go into this match with a fair bit of trepidation, having watched, I'm sure, how Celtic took Aberdeen apart at Pittodrie last weekend on the opening weekend of the Scottish Premier League season. But hesitation immediately at the start of the match in the Celtic defence. Olivier Tebili knocked the ball back. Jonathan Gould couldn't keep it out. And it's a corner kick. Dodds and Dasovic are up. The corner kick was aimed, I think, at Paul Kane. Cut out by Paul Lambert. Larsson against McQuillan. And John McQuillan turns the ball out of play. A scorer last weekend against Hearts, but not much consolation in a 4-1 loss. Mjällby eyeing the possibility of a long ball, then deciding on the short pass to Lambert. Boyd to Berkovic. And Morten Vikhorst. Good pass. Viduka in for Larsson. That was the intention at least. Sliced the cross off the outside of his left boot. He did well though here to find the room, Viduka, peeling away from his marker Jim Weir, but the cross not all it might have been. Bullen to John O'Neill, very firmly in, reset, won it back for Celtic. Lubo Moravcik, so influential 6 days ago at Pittodrie. The angled pass, encouraging Henrik Larsson to get after it. Lovely turn. Gary Bolin in trouble, but he timed the tackle so well, he had to. Good recovery by Bolin. After he'd been nutmegged by Larsson. It looked to be a dangerous ball on its way into the box. The Moravcik corner kick! A chance for Mjällby! Johan Mjällby for Celtic with 6 minutes gone. St Johnstone kicked out the first effort, but there was no stopping Mjällby. Corner wickedly curled into the box. Reset, knocked down the header, and Onto the loose ball very quickly indeed was Mialbi. Alamein came and then stopped. Got his hands to the header from reset. Bundled into the nets by Mialbi. That's 1-0. Tebili in trouble against Simao. So close. Mistake at the back by Tebili. Letting Simao. You saw Jonathan Gold a few paces off his line, and that shot was just a fraction off target. Boyd, Larsson, Moravchik. Berkovic makes himself available. Little burst of pace, lovely pass. Larsson! Cleared by Jim Weir. Well, you expected to see the ball nestling the back of the net. Off the left foot of Henrik Larsson. Superb build-up. Lovely exchange of passes, and the final one from Berkovic was perfection. Larsson round main, cleared off the line. Easy for Tebili. Moravchik trying to spark a quick attack into the stride of Henrik Larsson. Back went Boland and won it well in the air. He was determined. He knocked Henrik Larsson over in the process, but he won the header. So much movement about Celtic. Oh, it's a lovely touch from Viduka. Larsson to Berkovic, the 1-2. It's Henrik Larsson again, chested down for Moravchik. St Johnstone just about get it clear. They look flustered in defence. And well, might they be? They've been under a lot of pressure. And it's not over. Berkovic in. Flick by Moravchik. Larsson and Viduka were loitering. The danger over for the moment. And John Paul McBride has it. Down the line for Simao. But he has to hold it up. He has to buy some time while the St Johnstone midfield gets forward. He's done well. He's won a free kick. Another ideal start for Messrs Barnes and Black and McDermott. Played first time by Kane. Possession given away. Kane furious with Simao, and I think it's mutual. Berkovic to Viduka, slipped, got up just in time, did well. Weghorst with Tom Boyd outside. Now it's Lambert. It's one-way traffic in this first half. Lambert, Berkovic, that was aimed at Boyd, and well cut out by John McQuillan. He read that Celtic move well. Mialbi, first time by Moravchik. Hale Berkovic. Plied his trade with both West Ham and Southampton in the English Premiership. Tebili. Larsson eased off it by Dodds. Viduka wins it back and gets a free kick. It's taken quickly, but they'll have to come back. Mike McCarty explaining to Darren Dodds why the free kick was awarded. A strong play by Viduka. Is it to be Larsson or is it to be Moravchik? All bar Simao behind it for St Johnstone. It's Larsson, and it's close. A curling, dipping effort, which had Alan Main hurling himself across. Couple of feet wide. 2 goals last weekend for Henrik Larsson in his first competitive match of the season, and 59 in 97 matches in total for Celtic. Paul Kane wants it for Dasovic. Kane again, shooting opportunity. Flies too high, but will at least give St Johnstone a boost to get that close to the Celtic penalty box. Struck on the half volley and too high. Good run from Moravcik, got his toe to it. From Dodds to Main. Reset to Moravcik. Seeing Berkovic in some room. Movement from Viduka and Larsson. And saved by Main, but Viduka will score. That's number 2. He was always alive to what was happening in the 6-yard box, and when Alan Main fumbled, Mark Viduka was going to make him pay. St Johnstone defence again being sorely tested. Alan Main got a hand to it, couldn't hold on to it. And there was Viduka for his 3rd goal of the season, 3 in 2 games. Again, look at the movement ahead of Berkovic when he was in possession. The ball in from Larsson was deflected. That deceived Main. His handling wasn't 100%. And look at the reactions here of Viduka as the ball went loose. The back heel into the back of the net. And it's 2-0 Celtic. John McQuillan's pass came off Morten Vikhorst. Paul Kane into the stride of Simao. Accurate pass and a free kick to St Johnstone. Tebili, the guilty party, with a push on the back, clearly demonstrated there on Simao. Every Hoop jersey is behind this. Keith O'Halloran lining up as if he fancies a crack. Gary Boland there too. It's Boland, and it's a good save by Jonathan Gould. He wouldn't have seen an awful lot of that as it flew beyond the wall. It was well hit by Boland, through the wall in fact, as Paul Lambert peeled away. It's Berkovic. It was aimed at Henrik Larsson. Dodds did well. But the St Johnstone penalty box constantly under siege. Here it is again. Larsson's cross cleared by Boland. O'Neill's header straight to reset. Berkovic against Dasovic. Oh, lovely skill. Now Larsson beyond Viduka. Well, if you're wondering why Celtic paid out £5.75 million for Berkovic, here's a demonstration of the skill. Little toe poke, twice over, which got the better of Dasovic. And set up Henrik Larsson. O'Halloran has it. The man whose goal did damage to Celtic at McDermott Park late last season. It's a good run by Gary Boland. Gets help from Kane. John Paul McBride on familiar ground, but his ball into the box blocked by Vikhorst. Now it's Berkovic moving at pace, room for Moravcik. The shot blocked by Weir. Again the Celtic creative double act of Berkovic and Moravcik. Moravcik really stretching St Johnstone. The Celtic supporters chewing things over, and they must be happy with what they're seeing in the opening games of the season. Onto the loose ball, Dasovic. Simao leaves it to McBride. A rare passage of possession for St Johnstone. It ends now, as does the first half, on Mike McCurry's whistle. No stoppage time, exactly 45 minutes played. And a glorious 45 minutes for the home support. Johan Mjalby it was who opened the scoring for Celtic. Goal number 2 from Mark Viduka, third in 2 games for him, and Celtic's 7th goal in their opening 2 matches of the season. This was number 1 from Moravcik's corner kick, reset header blocked by Main, but in on the rebound very quickly, Johan Mjalby. The Celtic fans were already on their feet. Goal number 2 was all down to the sharpness of Mark Viduka as Main fumbled his back heel, put the ball in the back of the net. Not too much for St Johnstone to smile about in the first half. It's been all about Celtic, and they lead by 2-0. Right at the start of the second half, St Johnstone have made a switch. Off has gone John Paul McBride, and on in his place, the man has been on trial with Charlton during the week, Danny Griffin. Celtic get the game going again, and the biggest problem for them in this second half will be the threat of taking their foot off the throttle. Cruising in the first half, the match looks very much won, but what they did at Aberdeen so well, when they turned around at half-time 3 up, was keep playing the way they were and adding to the goals tally. Mjalby, scorer of goal number 1. And the impressive Paul Lambert. Good from a Scotland viewpoint to see him playing so well, and I bet he wish I hadn't said that. Back from Kane to Main. First time from O'Neill. Dangerous ball in, left by Kane. Onto it, Weghorst. Berkovic for Larsson. Cleared by Dodds. Confusion. Came off the arm of Tibiali, but he didn't know too much about it. It's good viewing for the Celtic supporters, and they include the Director of Football Operations, Kenny Dalglish, and Alan MacDonald, the Chief Executive, alongside. Gary Bowler, a dangerous ball, it's into the stride of Henrik Larsson. A chance for number 3. And a rare miscue by the man who was Player of the Year last season. What a chance that was for Celtic to add to their lead. Terrible back pass by Boland, and it played in Larsson for another great chance. Well won by Berkovic. Larsson just beyond Viduka. And the free kick given against Gary Boland. That's a wry smile. He reckons Viduka made the most of this. There was a challenge, but was that a touch theatrical as Viduka hit the earth? Disputed free kick taken by Moravcik, and Morten Weghorst it is who scores number 3. Superb delivery from Moravcik. Right foot, left foot, doesn't seem to matter too much. Picked out head of Weghorst. So many aerial targets for Celtic at set pieces. That time it was Weghorst, and that makes it 3. And John Barnes joins in the applause. Berkovic to Weghorst. Now it's reset. Missed by Tebili. Misjudged it. But how he made up for it. Got back and made the perfect challenge. The Celtic fans taking to this Ivory Coast-born defender. Moravchik weaving his way towards the byline. Now heads back the way. Now he's off in the opposite direction again. Lovely ball in! And it flicks off the shins of Gary Bowen and goes behind for a corner kick. He was aware that Henrik Larsson was lurking in behind. Superb skill again from Moravchik. What a wonderful cross that was. Reset's pass somehow found its way through to Lambert, thanks to a couple of ricochets. The return pass from Larsson to Berkovic. And it's Henrik Larsson again looking for it. And not too far away from an own goal. Adding to the tally. Gary Bowen just lunged at this because St Johnstone were in trouble again. Corner kick, again Moravchik. Reset won the header. And the overhead effort from Mark Viduka drops over the top of the crossbar. Again, difficult to counter for a defence. The height that Celtic offer at set pieces. So sure of his touch is Moravchik. Good pass as well from Weghorst to Berkovic. Bowen got there before Larsson. A chase for Simao. Did well against Mjolby. And it's Olivier Tebili, who is fast becoming a big hit with the Celtic supporters. Chipped over the head of Keith O'Halloran for Vidar reset, and for Viduka cleared by Weir only as far as Weghorst. Martin Weghorst again, Larsson's touch, and the shot from Berkovic didn't really get over it, but again lovely link up which set up the shooting opportunity. Weghorst was involved twice, as was Berkovic himself. The shot off target. Dazovic leaves it to Kane. The central midfield pairing. Forward across the middle now, with Lyons having joined Simao in attack. Through from Moravchik to Larsson. Gets it back from Berkovic. Good save, Alan Main. Finally cleared by Bowen. Again, great penetration from Celtic, and it's reset this time. Cross blocked by O'Halloran. Lovely build-up once more from Celtic, and again Henrik Larsson thwarted. A well-timed run by Craig Burley. Still has it, looking for support. Back for Lambert. Celtic queuing up. Mark Viduka, lovely touch on the ball, superb from Viduka. Finally the shot blocked. Berkovic waiting for the reset run. Unable to cut the ball back from the byline. But this was terrific footwork from Mark Viduka, evading 4 St Johnstone challenges. The shot blocked by McQuillan.
Coming off is number 25,
Well, you get the feeling the home fans like him, don't you? Luba Moravcik, outstanding again for Celtic. And on comes Bobby Petta, one of the surprise signings of the summer from Ipswich Town. Ayel Berkovic running the show, in for reset, good control. This might well be Celtic's last attack of the match. Viduka to Burley. Shot blocked by Griffin. And Mialbi got there before Lyons. Tom Boyd leaves it for Bobby Petta. And the full-time whistle goes. Celtic played 2-1-2, goals 4-8 against 0. It's all pretty impressive stuff as the Barnes Dalglish revolution gets underway at Celtic Park. And just one of the successes of the show this afternoon, Olivier Tebili. An impressive performance at the back as the goals flew in up ahead of him. Morten Vikhorst scoring in the second half, adding to the first half strikes by Johan Mjalby and Mark Viduka. St Johnstone have lost 7 goals in their first 2 games, and they'll hope for better in Europe in midweek. Final score at Celtic Park, Celtic 3, St Johnstone.